All right, we are officially only 4 days away from my very first market, and the time is just ticking on by. Now, on my checklist for today, so I have, right now I have my whole setup downstairs, and I did spend some time earlier this week doing a couple of admin pieces. I, made sure that I had all my inventory in Square. I got my Square reader set up so that I can use it, because you don't want to get to the market and find out that, sorry, you can't take cards. So I did make sure that was all done. There's a number of things that need to happen before Saturday. Important things that need to happen. There's some minor things that are like, if we have time, let's do this, but there are some major things that have to happen. Number one, I need to, today, what I need to do, make my branding sign. Now, it seems like common sense that probably one of the first things folks would do for a market is to get their branding sign. But as a, upcycle DIY artist, it's a little harder than it sounds, because I want to make my sign. So what I want to do is I want to transform this sign right here to my Rebel Refashion, maybe logo, but maybe not, because luckily with my logo, it's just text, and then it has a little recycled heart on it. And I think because I want this to be on brand, and this is probably why I've been dragging my feet on this so much, I have a bunch of ideas. Do I do patchwork? Do I do denim? Do I do Cricut? Do I just paint? Like, there are so many different methods that I could use to customize my brand sign. So this is why I've been dragging my feet on this, and hopefully this will come to me today, because I would like to have this done. So this is a very important piece, and I can't not do it. So we'll see. We'll play around with this, but this is not what I want to work on first thing this morning. Having my set up downstairs, I can actually see I've put my inventory there. Most of it I've put out, just so I can make sure that I have enough to fill the space. I'm not a bulk maker. I don't make 100 of the same thing. So for me, just making sure that I actually have enough that gives variety, represents the brand, and honestly, the way I'm looking at this market is that this is my catalyst to start my online presence. Yesterday I finished this piece, so I wanted to show you this one. So this is done with quilting. So this is Dresden blocks is what that's called, or Dresden plate. So Dresden plate, they're just like little plates that create this cool effect right here. And then of course, one of my signatures are these denim eyeballs. And I feel like I don't have enough in this collection. So I'm going to be I made a couple yesterday. They're a little hard on my hands because I have to fray all of the denim, but I feel like it's so worth it. So anyway, so we have this jacket right here, and I have a list of other items that I want, other bigger items like this that I want to add to my booth. So I do have a lot of my art pieces, some buttons, wrist fobs, things like that, but I do want to have some of those bigger pieces just to be representative of what I can do. So I do have a number of items on my to-do list if I'm feeling inspired, if I feel like I want to work on those bigger projects today because it's Wednesday. I still need to make my market kit, which I have a checklist of items. That's not going to be that hard. I have my container, and it's just a matter of putting it all together. I already have that list done, so that's probably going to take like 15 minutes to do. I also have a list of Cricut items, and I mentioned this in the last vlog. So there are those extras that I want to make for this market if I have time, right? Like stickers. I think stickers are one of those things, can't really sell them for much. However, for giveaways, when someone buys something, give them a sticker. I think that would be a nice little gesture. Also, I can put those stickers on packaging. So there's different things I can do with them. That's why I've been dragging my feet on that as well. And then I have 3 more sheets of my magnet paper, and I made a few of them because I had never used this magnet paper before, and they actually turned out so great that I want to make a handful of them. Again, just have like a little lower price point item, and then maybe just giveaways if people buy things. So I still have a few of those Cricut things that I want to do. And again, not sure if I'm going to have the desire to work on that today. That may be a little bit closer. And then one other thing that I want to get together, and this is probably going to be the night before, but I would like to get together some sort of project to work on while I'm there. That's some advice that I got from other makers that I've talked to, that just having something to do with your hands makes it less intimidating for folks. So I'm gonna get that together probably the night before. So I think a lot of this vlog is really going to happen in those last few hours before the market. And if you're new here, hello and welcome, and let us know in the comments where you're watching from and if you have done a market before. If so too, share your tips. We want to know. We want to know. No gatekeeping here. We want all the tips and tricks and secrets because it's all about, we make each other better when we help each other. That's kind of the bottom line. So I think the first thing I'm going to work on today, and don't laugh, but I have another prototype that I want to make for a smaller project. And, at this point, I feel like most makers are working on getting their inventory done. I'm still working on pattern making. So anyway, that's what we're starting with today. And again, stick around and I'll share what happens over the next few days and how the market goes. So I just finished the little prototype that I wanted to work on. And I still have some tweaking I want to do to it, but let me show you. So it's just a little wristlet cell phone bag. And again, for me, just having something that I can throw in my bag, and if I just need to carry this is perfect. So I just did this really fast. So I probably want to do a couple of tweaks to it, but you just have your straps here, and then you have a pocket in the front. There's a pocket in the back, and then in the center is where you can just slide your cell phone right in. So anyway, so there's that. Now, am I going to make some of these for the market? I mean, it's only Wednesday. We'll see. We'll see if I have time to work on this. But I think that it's 10:20, like 10:20. And I really, really, really should figure out this design piece for my sign. So I think that's what I'm going to shift my gears to before lunch today. And see what we can come up with. All right, and while I have the house to myself, Bill just ran to the bank to get me change for Saturday, one of my checklist items. So he's going to get me some change for folks paying with cash. And since I have the house, I thought I would share with you my temporary setup for my booth. Again, as a visual person, I find it is so much easier just to kind of put everything out and see what I'm thinking. So a lot of this stuff, again, as a sustainable maker, I really focus on trying to make everything, use what I already have, upcycle things that, that I find. So my booth is kind of a reflection of the brand. And, we have this coat rack right here. So this coat rack is going to be holding all of my bags. I have more that I'm going to put on there. And this coat rack is actually our coat rack that goes in our mudroom. So we're just going to be utilizing that. Same thing with this little yellow table. This is it's a plant table. I have a couple of them. So we're just using that. And then this piece of wood that I have my art on, this was, I think I paid $3 for this at the thrift store, and then we painted it white. And so then all I did was add these, again, I thrifted these little heart tacks, which just add a little bit of detail. But I used those heart tacks that I already had, twine, and I had a lot of this stuff, y'all. It's stuff that I've just had for years and years because I have a hard time getting rid of things. That is this little section here. And then this is the table. So my table, I think, is a 4x2. My space is an 8x8. And I think that this is going to work. And then all of my pieces, my little signage, got those at the thrift store. This little wooden, riser back here was a box that had wheels on it that I had put these wheels on, and we took the wheels off, and now I can put some things behind it, kind of extra inventory, and then also add that height, which makes the booth look more interesting. And again, guess what this is? Guess what this little house thing is? This is one of those stocking holders. It's a stocking holder that I painted. Then what do we have over here? Buttons. So again, a little lower price point, but I feel that when folks can see things, it makes it a little bit easier to decide if, this is the right fit for them, if my products are going to be of interest. So I just have some of my little buttons back there, and then the day of the market, they're actually going to go they're going to go in this little bowl right here. So I'll have kind of a little overstock or a little overflow on that in that little bowl. And then also the tablecloth, I think that is actually a curtain that I got at the thrift store, but it's perfectly on brand and I love it. It's the best size. I can use it for this size table, but I could also use it for like, a 6x2 table. What do we have over here? We have another sign that I already had, just used some contact paper that I had. And then I got this little, I think it's like a jewelry holder that I got at the thrift store recently. I think I paid a couple dollars for that and just used those same little heart push pins on there. I don't know if I actually need this mirror, but I couldn't resist it. It's so adorable. And I feel like, I don't know. I loved it. And so we'll figure out something to do with it. I'm contemplating making fun mirror stickers. So we'll see. Again, we're coming up on the date, so I can't get too crazy here. Okay. And then we have our rack here. Again, I didn't want to overfill it, so I'm just bringing some of my favorite pieces. I'm not bringing a ton. Really, this is to spark interest and allow folks to find me online, which I will get online. I will. And then I have some of these Crocs that I made. Again, a lot of this stuff I made a long time ago and I've just been holding on to. And then again, another signage that I think I'm going to change. And then I did get this mirror at the thrift store. And I will include my little bench that I made specifically. I'm not going to sit in it. I'm going to have it somehow situated. Again, let's step back a little bit. I'll have it situated somehow so that folks can try on the shoes, probably right next to the mirror. Until I see what the person behind me or next to me is doing, I don't know which side I'm going to put my rack on. I'll give you a full tour when we get there and get all set up, but this is what we have so far. All right, well, I'm making my sign. It has to be done. So I cannot put it off any longer. And, I've been playing around with ideas and I feel like maybe it's just because I don't want to waste material if I don't like it. So we need to make sure that I'm not going to waste materials while I'm making this. So I think I pointed out already the sign that I got at the little thrift store here. So this little sign right here, this is where I've been spending the last hour going through my stash. You can't really see the extent of it, but trying to figure out what fabrics I want to use. Because not only do I need to make sure that the fabrics are legible so that my brand is legible from across the room, it needs to be on brand, so with my brand colors, and I also don't want to waste fabric that I'm going to use for other projects, because as someone who sources most of my fabrics and materials secondhand, once they're gone, they're gone. So I think that I have decided on what I'm going to do though. So first thing I did was decide on the fabrics. And, because it's totally this part of my brand, black, white, and yellow. These are three of my favorite colors. I think that it's just very representative of the brand. And the tour that I showed you earlier of my little setup, you probably saw there was a lot of black and white and yellow in that as well. So we're going to use some of my favorite black and white check cotton. I'm sad about it because I don't have... I probably still have like 2.5 yards. Now I probably still have 3 yards left. So it's not like I'm out, but once it's gone, me finding this again is going to be few and far between. So there's that. So that's going to be the background. And we are going to put that on some batting. And I think that I am going to do just like a vertical quilt. Okay. Because I do want it to have a little bit more than just hot gluing fabric to wood. Then I have this beautiful linen, this yellow mustard, this is probably one of my all-time favorite colors right here. I have this linen, it's already been washed and I've been holding on to it. I was thinking I was going to make something coming up for spring. Okay, so I'm holding on to this to make like a top or maybe some nice pants for spring, but guess what? This is what the letters are going to be out of. And the reason for that is if you look back over here, all right, so I made this little signage right here, and this was done for an event I went to. I went to like an art awards event, and then I actually made this and then put this on the back of a blazer. But see how that yellow is really popping on the black and white? That really, to me, is speaking to me, but this was the inspiration for what we're going to be doing. Then you'll see that I've already created my stencils. So I'm actually going to put some heat and bond on the letters that I choose and trace them out. And that way I can get a really nice adhesion to that black and white checkered fabric. But right now I just need to make sure I get something done so that we have a sign. So it is officially 4:20 right now, and I have spent the entire day, pretty much, working on my sign. I have a sign, yay, one more item off the checklist, and we're gonna call it a day. So tomorrow is Thursday, which is kind of the last hurrah day. That's the last day that in my brain I can work on pieces to add because Friday I do need to load up the car. So that is going to be the plan for tomorrow, but I need to go eat because I'm very hungry right now and relax a little bit and just spend some time with the fam. So anyway, we'll pick back up tomorrow. Okay, so today is Thursday and it is 1 p.m. But don't worry, I didn't just get up and get around. I've been up this morning. We got up, I think, at like 6:30. It was one of those days where we all just kind of woke up, and by we all, I mean my dog and my husband. But we woke up like 6:30 and got around, and I've been super busy doing a lot of the admin pieces that I needed to do to get ready for Saturday's market. We're getting close. It's 3 days away, just 3. And my brain is not in that mode yet that my ADHD goes into where I'm like, awesome, let's buckle down and get everything done. I'm kind of on the fence where I'm thinking, I have plenty of time. A lot of the admin pieces that I did this morning were around the Cricut, and I've been referencing this Cricut list since I feel like I started doing this vlog. Because Cricut items are one of those things where, it's in a different room for me. So it's in the basement where I used to have my studio. So I have to go all the way down the basement. And then the printer is upstairs here in Bill's office. So in order for me to do like stickers or magnets or, primarily those two, because I have to have the printer, I have to make the designs. Then I have to go up here and print them. And then I need to go down into the basement, connect to my computer, print them and then cut them with the Cricut. And in my brain, it seemed like a lot of work. So I try to do it all at the same time. Well, this morning when I got up, I was feeling like I need to do a few additional things that have to get done. So I needed to create my QR code just to have it there. One of the things that I'm doing, and again, I'll give you a tour here shortly of some of the things that I did with my Cricut this morning. But I wanted the QR code that linked to my Linktree, which is what I'm using for connection, to connect with folks. Because the reason for me and the logic behind it is, yes, it has many different aspects. It has my socials in there. It has my Etsy shop in there. Eventually it will have my own shop in there, but it also has my, sign up for my mailing list there. It's just one link that folks can scan and find me and have all of my things available. So to me, logically, that made sense. So I wanted to print that so I would have that readily available. And of course, when I sat down to do that, my brain decided, I don't want to work on anything that can actually make me money. Why don't I work on making some sticker designs? So that's what I spent the morning doing. So I probably spent about an hour and a half playing around, making designs. And after I was happy with what I had, I decided, all right, well, I have to do the vinyl anyway. I might as well just make some stickers, and because I already have sticker paper. And then I have this glitter overlay that I've had forever. And I'm like, why don't I try them with glitter overlay? Love them. And then I said, oh, well, I have a couple of sheets of magnetic printable paper left. Why don't I try printing them on there? So I did that. And so there was a lot of making with the Cricut. And then the last thing I made, and I'm very excited about this, but I'm actually going to show you. All right, so it's still quite a mess, but let me first show you, before I show you the thing that I was really excited about. So I made, these are the magnets that I made, and this is the coolest frame. It's actually a metal insert in this frame, and I've had it thinking that I was going to upcycle it for something, and so the fact that I have magnets is perfect, so I can display them here and then just put them in like a little bowl next to it. The other thing that I made this morning with my Cricut, all of my stickers. So here's all the stickers that I made, and they have that glitter overlay. This one's probably my favorite. Hello, Rebel, you look powerful today. So I have a bunch of these, fun little stickers. And what I was going to show you, I'm very excited. I think I showed you this frame that I thrifted. Well, I wanted to do something, something a little different than just a plain, boring, thrifted frame. So I printed out, or I cut out with vinyl with my Cricut. It says, I know it's hard to read, and I'm trying to figure out how to get this to translate a little bit better so you don't see the mirror part, but it says, hello, Rebel, you're looking powerful today, just like the stickers. So if someone's trying on an item, they get this little positive affirmation. Hopefully it makes someone feel strong and powerful, and that is what I'm going for. So anyway, oh, and then the one other thing I mentioned, sorry, I'm chaotic, I'm all over the place. Here's the QR code. So I pointed this out in the previous tour, that this is just this little house stocking holder that I've had for a while, and I painted it gold. And then I just made this little QR sticker. It says, let's connect. Very hard. Again, those colors ran a little bit on my printer, but it does work and it's great, and folks can scan it and stay connected. So anyway, that is the quick little tour. I may still work on a few things today, but it's Thursday and Bill and I are going to hang out this afternoon. So this may be the bulk of what's coming to the market, but we still have a whole other day tomorrow. And one of the things I have on my agenda is making something to wear. So we are officially one day away from my market. And yesterday I didn't do a lot of recording because I really was just heads down trying to get all of the Cricut work done. One of the things that I was doing this morning is having my booth set up in my dining room allows me to visualize how a customer will actually come in and shop my booth. And so, putting myself in a customer's shoes, I think is really, really important, because from far away, am I intrigued enough to want to walk up to this booth? Okay, yes, there's color, there's interest, there's different layers, levels. Great. Our price is clear, so then that way I'm not questioning, can I afford this? Do I even want to walk over? Or, what's up with the pricing? Yes, my pricing is very clear. I have priced everything, so there should be no question. There's only a couple of things like the small items I ended up doing for magnet stickers and buttons. I'm doing mix and match, y'all. How easy is this? So essentially it's going to be $3 for one or 4 for $10, and mix and match. So anyway, today is going to be, we still have a few things on the checklist. So I need to get the toolkit together. That'll take like 15 minutes. I have a checklist. It's just a matter of getting that all into the container. The big thing that needs to happen this afternoon is I need to put everything in the car. And I don't want to do that until the last minute because, again, I'm still visualizing and looking at everything. I do need to steam my tablecloth, and that's on my list. So again, as I start to remove things from the display, I can steam the tablecloth and get that folded up nicely in there. Okay, so honestly, that is it today. Today is like the chaos before the storm, and because it's me, normally I would be making an outfit to wear tomorrow. In the last vlog, I made a sweatshirt before I had to go to an event last minute, and that's just because that's how my brain works. However, this time I am not, because I already have what I'm wearing picked out. I have a patchwork denim top that I made that really represents what I do, and I really am proud of it. So I'm gonna wear that because you need to represent your brand. I'm gonna wear comfy, flat, like boots. So my outfit, check, done, easy, don't have to worry about that. So what that means is it gives me some wiggle room to make some additional items for the booth. And I'd like to get a couple of bigger pieces to add to the clothing section. And then also I still have, I think, 5 more art pieces I want to do tonight, if that happens. I did make a couple last night, but I would like to just, again, have more of those pieces. So we'll see what happens, but that's the plan. And then we'll load up the car, like I said, this afternoon. And then tomorrow we are starting the day bright and early. All right, so we made it to the Hive. I have been here, I've had a little bit of a morning. I got here at 7:30 and no one was here. Apparently they moved the time back and didn't let us know. And then when I got here, they had moved my spot, and then I'm right in front of the rolly door, so they had to have me move so that they could get people in. I don't know, but there was a lot of stuff going on. But anyway, so here we are, and let me give you a tour of what my booth looks like. I had to go back to the car because I forgot I threw in these little quilted hats last minute, and I did make my first sale already. I sold the pink tour coat. Very excited about that. But I will show you the booth. Oh, there's Gwen. Woo! Good morning, Gwen. Look at woo! All right. So here is how it is set up. You walk in the doors, and then over here is my setup. So I'm pretty pleased with it.
They're glistening because they're still warm.
Oh my gosh, did you make these?
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I just wrapped up and it's pouring rain, like like this is not even just like a little drizzle. You know, state of Washington, we get rain. This is like full on. I am soaked to the bone. There was a casualty, unfortunately. My mirror shattered. I put it in the back and then I drove to a closer spot. It fell over and my table fell on top of it and it shattered. So we no longer have our little mirror. No one used it anyway, but good to know. So I'm gonna go home. I'm going to try to still get rid of this headache, eat some dinner, and then we will do a full recap tomorrow. All right, my first market. I did not have time to record very much at all, and that's actually a very good thing. It was kind of chaotic from the moment I got there to the end of the day. It was crazy busy, and I feel like there were so many reasons that this was such an amazing first market. I made some notes so that I don't ramble on all day and bore you to death. But what I want to share with you are some of the things that I learned. I have a few things that I jotted down that I think could be helpful. Also, I'll tell you how much I made and any costs I had associated with it. So you can tell me if you think it was worth it, or maybe if you're considering doing markets, maybe if it's worth it for you as well. And the first thing that I learned that I think is going to be super helpful, great advice just in general, is just be prepared to be flexible and for things to change. Because no matter how much planning you do, something is always going to happen or not going to go as expected. You're dealing with a lot of variables here that you cannot control. And as someone with anxiety who likes to be in control, that's a really, really hard lesson to learn. But for example, a couple of things. Number one, the load-in time was sent out as 7:30 a.m. So of course I got there at 7:30 a.m. Nobody was there. I guess they changed the time and they didn't send out a follow-up email to let everyone know these things happen. Not the end of the world. I still got in. But then when I got in, the location that I was supposed to be in had changed. I wasn't in this location. Okay, pivot. Great, I can make this work, no big deal. So the spot that I was in was exactly where everyone, like the roll-up doors, where folks were going to be bringing in their items to set up for the day. So I set up my booth and then I had to move everything so that things could get moved around. So again, I was just like, flustered, just trying to get set up. And especially because it was my first market, I just felt a little overwhelmed for a bit, but I did meet some great folks, which I'm going to talk about in a second, something else that I learned. Also, you can do all the research you want. You can watch all the vlogs. You can, see all the tips and tricks that everyone has, but you're going to have to make it work for you. So one of the things that I didn't do that I thought that of course I was going to incorporate was working on a small project. I didn't have time. I didn't sit once. I stood the entire time. Since I got there at 7:30 until I left at 4, I stood. So, I didn't have time to work on a small hand project. I just was there. I did kind of pivot a little if people came up to my booth. That it was just constantly busy, which was, again, amazing. But if people came up to my booth, if they didn't look at me, I didn't aggressively attack them. But I did say hi and I was friendly and I got to talk about a lot of great things. So anyway, biggest takeaway, be prepared for change, be flexible. And then going on to that, I alluded to this, but make friends with your booth mates. I think that this is just, it's so cool anyway to talk to people that are around you that maybe have done this before or maybe they haven't. Where we actually had a number of folks that this is their very first market, so they put us in the front, which again, what a cool freaking idea. The Spokane Public Library hosted this event along with 33 Artists Market so that they could create this space, this artistic space, free of AI, free of dropship, free of all of this garbage that is just out there claiming to be handcrafted. So it was such a great opportunity to meet all of these fellow makers whose market, who it was their very first market. Some had done a couple, but there was a little core group of us that it was just our first market. So that was really nice to get to talk to them because they have additional tips as well. So just being open to talk to them. These are your peers. They can offer you advice. They can watch your booth if you need to run and grab some water, use the restroom, which they totally did. All right, the next thing that I really want to impart on you is to have an elevator pitch ready. Now, you don't want to sound staged. You don't want to sound fake. If you've ever worked in retail, people get those same spiels that they say all the time. Hey, how's it going? How's your day? How's the weather? How's the, all the things that we get to make small talk. I'm not a small talk person, okay? I want some of the meat. I want to know what is happening. Why are you interested in my booth? Why is this important to you? And maybe that's coming from this craftivist perspective, but I looked at my booth not just as a place where folks could come support me monetarily, but I could also spread the news about upcycling, recycling, and sustainability. So for me, I didn't really have a speech prepared, but I did know that I wanted to talk to folks, even those that weren't buying anything, about what I do and why I do it and why it's so important. And I think that passion, led to a few sales. And it also led to folks coming back later on in the day, which was super cool to shop the booth. So, you never know what people are there for. They may be there to get inspired, to have community. Right now, community is so important. So I look at every single person that walks up to my booth as someone that we can interact and create that community. So I would say have something about your booth that you're passionate about that you can share with your customers, because that's what's going to set you apart and that's how they're going to remember you. Okay, number 4. This is the 4th tip. Square tap is amazing. I'm just going to say this. I did spend the money. I spent $59. I did have like a cash back, I think, of $20 on it. So I guess I only spent $40. We'll say I spent $40, but I did get that one. They Square offers the little free one that absolutely, if it's your first market, the little free one, I'm sure it's fine. But I will tell you, as busy as we are, and even just trying to figure out where things were in inventory in my Square, being able to just take the little thing and have folks tap it with their phone or with their card, it made it go so much smoother. And I didn't get that anxiety of someone staring at me like I'm just trying to figure out the system. In fact, this is it. This is all it is. And I didn't have to reconnect it all day. It just connected to my phone. And I didn't even have to charge my phone. It honestly didn't take that much juice. So anyway, I definitely recommend this, but look for sales, look for discounts, because $59 for this, I do think, unless you're going to be doing a lot of markets, is probably a little pricey. All right, now tip number 5. So don't be afraid, okay? This goes back to connecting with your booth mates, with your community. Don't be afraid to talk to folks about maybe trading, because I think that that's a great way, even if you don't have the funds to personally purchase from somebody, which, right now I don't have income. The income that I have is very minimal. So just suggesting, if you find something that you like and you have something that another booth mate likes, just make this suggestion. The worst thing that they can do is say, oh, no, thank you. I really need to charge for my items. And that is absolutely great as well, because we all have to pay our bills. But it is pretty cool to be able to see, trade with your fellow booth mates, with your neighbors. It also feels really good. Okay, and this is number 6, and then I'm gonna get into all the numbers. But one thing that stands out to me, and it's just because I see people post this all the time online about what customers said at my booth, or kind of poking fun at their customers, and specifically when customers say, oh, I could make that. Okay, that's kind of where I'm going with this. Very important, I think, is be supportive of your customers. These are potential customers. Now, I'm not saying if someone's a jerk, don't support that. Not at all. But if you have someone that just comes up and, there was a lot of this at this market. There were a lot of like moms and, kids and older folks, and, they were all talking about how they used to do this back in the day, or they could totally make something. And instead of getting that internalized, well, then go make it, which I've heard people say, and it just like breaks my heart. I was like, you totally can. I'm like, absolutely. There are so many great teachers out there and tutorials, and we need more makers in this world. We need more art. And so I think that just approaching it from that perspective, you get what you give, y'all. And so by saying that, I had people that would turn to me and say, I totally could, but maybe I don't know if I have the time. It's like, I know, right? Trying to find that time. And then I'm not sure if I made any sales from that, but it doesn't matter. I felt good. They felt good. They walked away and smiled. And I think that is a huge takeaway for every person that does a market. Just be nice, be supportive of your customers and your potential customers. All right, are you ready to talk numbers? I'm ready to talk numbers because, again, this was my very first market, and I had a goal of making $100. That was it. That was my goal. I wanted it to be attainable. I didn't know what the foot traffic was going to be like. I didn't know what the clientele was going to be like. So $100, I thought, okay, that's doable. We can do this. I exceeded that, and I'm very happy. So let me break it down for you. So I sold, and again, another reason why I love Square, because all the inventory that's in there, I'm able to run reports and pull up all of this data. And I'm a data nerd. I love spreadsheets. I love numbers. I love analytics. And so anyway, this is one of my favorite parts. So I sold 20 items. Let's just go through the numbers really fast and then I'll break it down a little bit more. So I sold 20 items and had $419 in gross sales from Square. I did make a couple of cash sales, but I will say I wasn't counting those. I didn't even put them in the log because I used the cash from those sales to buy a couple of things from some fellow vendors. So we ended up with $419 gross sales. The Square processing fees were only $13.15. That was total. So the $405.85, that's what's going to be deposited into my account, I think tomorrow, because it is an automatic deposit that happens the first business day at the end of the first business day. So since it happened on the weekend, 5 o'clock is close of business day today, so it'll probably be in there tomorrow. So $405.85. There was no booth fee for this because the Spokane Public Library was supporting this event. I think there was a grant. All of us artists didn't have to pay a booth fee. That's huge because I have heard booth fees from like 50, 150, more than that, depending on if they're multiple days. So zero booth fee. Yes. So I did spend money on my display and packaging. It was, the very first market as Revelry Fashion. I needed to ensure that I had an attractive way to display my items. And, like one of them, my sign, it's back here. I'm actually going to put it on my wall here and then use it for future events. So I paid and I thrifted everything that I bought, or I used what I already had at the house. So just for display and packaging, I only spent $41 total for all of the new pieces that I got for the market. So there was $41 for display and packaging. I am accounting for gas, so I'm not taking out money for labor because that's already incorporated into the price. If I really wanted to get into the nitty-gritty, I would have kept track of every single item that I sold, along with my spreadsheet that shows how much labor is involved, and then I would take that out. We would get an actual profit minus labor, but I'm not going that deep in this. Again, this is enough for right now. So I am taking out $5 for gas just because that's not accounted for anywhere, and we do want to make sure we're accounting for every little piece. Technically, I probably should take out time for getting there, and then breaking down and all that, but again, we're going high level for this first one. Then we have the Square that I mentioned. I ended up paying, I think, $40 for the Square. That leaves us with our sales of $319.85. So $319.85, and that pays for all of the display. It pays for the Square hardware. It takes all the fees out. So that's how much money I actually get in my hand. And that, to me, success. Yay, that is what we were looking for, way more than I even anticipated. Now, when we look at what actually sold for me, my most popular item that sold were my art pieces. And that warms my heart so much because I put so much time creating these quilted art cards. And I loved making them. I just didn't know, are they going to be received well? Is this something that people even want? I did sell 7. Which again is a lot because this is, I'm a tiny little booth. I sold 7 of those with a total of $145. That's how much I made. And then the buttons, yes. Okay, so yes, I did sell a lot of buttons. There were a lot of add-ons. There were a lot of people wanted to support me, so they bought maybe one button. And that's okay. So I sold 14 buttons and made $42. And the great news about the buttons, I already had them. I didn't have to spend any time making them because I already had them. I don't sell them online. So I can only sell them if I'm doing it in person. So I made that $42 and guess what? Right there, that's the square hardware. Done. Okay, so easy. And then we had clothing and bags. I probably should have displayed these a little bit better, but I think these items for this market were a little bit more of talking points, but people weren't there to buy clothes. They were there to buy like art. But I did sell 3 of my large pieces. Actually, I sold 5 of my 5 pieces. I sold the Barbie top that I've had for a while. I was very excited. The pink chore coat that was the founder of 33 Artist Market bought, and one of my heart totes, the newest pattern that I created. My friend Kelly came and supported me and bought that, so thank you so much, Kelly. And then I brought in my mini witch hats. This was one of those last minute things. I threw them in the car the morning before because I have them listed on Etsy. And I was like, well, they're getting a lot of likes, but I'm not selling them, so maybe I'll just bring them in and we'll see. And yeah, I only have 2 left. So it was a good idea. So $227 is how much I made from clothing and bags. So I sold less items, but I made more. And that's just because they were higher price points. So overall, my favorite part of my first market was the people. Like, it was the community, it was the people, being able to talk about what I do, share my passion, hear from other folks what their passions are, get folks from, like I said, from, older folks to younger folks excited about sewing and upcycling. And it was, I couldn't have asked for a better first market, even with all the things going on. Even at the end of the day when we had the torrential downpour and I broke my mirror and I was soaked and I had a migraine, it's fine because it was all worth it. So that's it. Hopefully you like this content. If you have any questions or tips for us, please share those down in the comments. And until next time, everyone, see ya!